watchful, mindful, careful, and attentive. And that's all of those things here are about us. And and even when you talk the word passion, again, going back to how the enemy perverts the things of God, the word has made passion this nasty, lustful, sexual, and that's why it's hard for them to understand our passion for Christ. It's because the world relates passion just like intimacy. Right. I had to learn in my latter years what intimacy really meant. Right. You got nothing to do with the actual touching part of it. You know what I'm saying? And you got to do with that. You can be intimate with somebody and never touch each other. Right. And I got caught up in a bad relationship like that one time, not even knowing that I was going way off on the whole other end, because I'm like, we ain't touching each other. We ain't having sex. I'm taking. And God had to show me in that relationship, and that thing, like, it almost took me out. Like, it was so serious. And the feelings was there, like,
soul time.
Man, I'm like, but I'm saying, but not understanding, the meaning of really what intimacy is, not understanding the meaning of what passion is. You know what I'm saying? And it takes on a whole nother look and a whole nother feeling and a whole nother meaning. So now you caught up in something and you like, oh, wow, how did I get here? But that's exactly what the enemy wants. And that's why God is so attentive about us. That's why he is watchful about us. That's why he gives us the option like, don't do that. Don't go over there. Don't answer the call. Yep. Take another bite of that, just one more. When you say, oh, just one more.
Yes. That's so true. That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And intimacy grows more without the physical involved, because the physical or sexual nature can cloud everything up, and you get all caught up in that, and you can have a sexual relationship and not be no intimacy whatsoever.
Not even like a person.
More dangerous.
Right.
It's more dangerous for somebody that is betrothed to someone to have a relationship with somebody that they're not touching. It's more dangerous. It's more dangerous than a sexual relationship, because now you're getting true intimacy, because you're sharing your
church finger.
You're sharing your feelings. That's intimacy. Sex just adds to it and bring it all together. But true intimacy is sharing who you are unashamedly, feeling like you can trust this person with who you are. You can put your secrets in it, and it builds the strongest soul tie. It builds a stronger soul tie than sex.
Mm-hmm. In 2 Corinthians, the King James Version is 2 Corinthians 10 and 5. As you was talking about that, that's what came to me, because you was saying that it can't be more dangerous than sex. And this was part of what I had to learn when I was in a relationship, having to cast down those vain imaginations, having to cast those things down, because those images of what could be, that excitement of what I can't have but I want it. You know what I mean? And that thing started to roll and started to grow. But it says casting down casting down imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And that relationship I was in was not of God. And even though we weren't touching it, we weren't touching each other, we still knew that it was not godly, right? And it says, and bring it into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. The thoughts of it. I was so deep in that thing to where I was about to step out on the wild side and do some things I never thought I would do, because I was learning how to do things with my mind that was not godly. Because I didn't take that thing captive. I let that thing run off.
Wow.
And I was starting to, but God is so gracious again. He's so protective. When I went to to participate in this endeavor of what I thought I was helping people with, because I'm realizing, you know what? It's a mind thing. I mean, I don't even want to be like real, but I learned how to do things just with my mind. I'll say that. And so I thought I needed to share that with people and even help couples to be more intimate. It was crazy. I mean, you know what I mean? It was really crazy, but not casting down. You know what I'm saying? Not taking those thoughts captive again, because thinking, well, we're not touching, it's okay. But I started to learn things to do with my mind that I know that's not what God wanted. It was kind of like in the Garden of Eden, like the woman of God said, God never wanted us to know about evil. It was some things that I tapped into, and really like in that fantasy world. And I start to be able to control things with my mind without even ever touching my body. I'll say that. And it was just and then I got invited into doing something else, that I was going to partner with somebody, and we had this really crazy idea, but God never let that thing come to pass. When I look back, I thank God, because I don't know what would have happened if I really wouldn't have got caught up in that situation, thinking I'm helping somebody. And you know what I'm saying? Well, really the enemy was just luring me out. He was luring me out. But because God being so jealous, he said, enough is enough. I ain't even play with you. Go sit down somewhere. Okay.
That was witchcraft, right?
Oh, Jesus.
You know that was witchcraft that was happening with you? What you was talking about?
Oh, yeah.
It was witchcraft.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you get into a soul tie with somebody, when you have a soul tie with them, especially if sex is not involved, because God said, know nobody after the flesh. So when we knowing each other more after the spirit. Although we're becoming one also with the flesh when we get married. But when you're with somebody and you're sharing that kind of intimacy with, like you were sharing that intimacy with them, you was forming a soul tie, an emotional soul tie, a band. And so when you have that, you have access to their thoughts. You actually have access to their thoughts. They have access to your thoughts. So that's how we do when we're husband and wife. We are intimate, and we have access to God's thoughts because we're intimacy with Him. We can feel when something ain't right. When we're doing something that ain't right and God don't like it, we can feel it. It's almost He talking to our heart. Well, we have that with each other. So because we have this intimacy with each other, you know what's going on with them without them telling you. You know what I'm saying? You was like, something ain't right. Oh, I need to call him. And at the time you calling him, he calling you. He was about to pick up the phone. Y'all have intimacy with each other. You can tell when something ain't wrong with him. I'm gonna tell you, when I was in that emotional relationship with that soul tie, I could tell when something was wrong with him. I could tell when something was off. Hey, are you all right? I could tell, but when that soul tie and that stuff was broken, I no longer could tell what was going on with him. So we definitely have access to each other in a way, in a mental way. In a mental way, we have access to each other when we form those intimate soul ties.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm listening to both of y'all and what y'all saying in my mind. Then went back some 26, 27, 30-something years to when I was I can't really say dating my ex-husband because wasn't like he could go nowhere. You know, but we did a lot of corresponding written correspondent, and I would go visit him most weekends. But in all those years, I was getting to know a person on a piece of paper, because we would write up all the tablets in the store, he would write me these 12, 14, 16, 18 page letters, and I would get them 2-3 times a week because he had nothing else to do. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say, for all that time that we were corresponding with each other, and sharing emotions and thoughts and whatever, like that, I'm listening to the woman of God. We did form a connection, but the flip side of that for me is that person that I formed that connection with all those years, that wasn't the person that came home to me.
Well, was it real?
Right. And so, in listening to what you guys are saying, I'm thinking, well, was it really real? I mean, is it really real that you can form that type of a relationship and it really be real with somebody who you really are not connected with physically, no kind of way?
I think it's possible. I just think maybe in that situation, there was deliverance that needed to happen with him. So he's already dealing with multiple personalities. And so he gave you what you wanted. You know what I mean? Like she was saying about when you build that soul tie, you kind of start to be able to tell, and you know what to say, and so he gave you what he thought you wanted, what he felt like you needed at that time. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure while he was writing you, he's probably doing something over there totally opposite even before he got out. You know what I mean? And so, and like I said, understanding when people need deliverance, that thing is real, and they really take on the personalities of those spirits. And I could definitely. I mean, that's definitely. I've heard that so many times, so often. That's why we have to be so intentional, especially in those type of situations, to be close to God. Because I'm not saying that all of them men are like that. I've heard some people have some success stories. But unfortunately, a lot of them are, because, like you said, what else they gonna do? So they kind of pretending, and who gonna stop them? I can be whatever I want to be. I can be a millionaire, and I can have a mansion waiting on. I can tell you all kind of stuff, and then so much to where they start to believe it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the social media. It's kind of like that online dating. You know what I'm saying? Because you can be whoever you want to be online, especially when you don't really have to be concerned about ever really crossing paths with that person. You can be an astronaut. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you is it really real? Because I've heard so many people, male and female, who have like these horror stories where they've got ripped off for thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, because they formed an emotional connection with somebody online, per se, in another country somewhere, and just fell for the. These con artists are very, very shrewd nowadays.
But see, that's the thing, what you just said. The con artists, those people are setting out to do what they do. They are who they are. Before social media, they was con artists. They just have more access. Right. And the sad part about it is, when you have somebody who's on there who really is real, who maybe just works so much and just don't have the time to get out and date, so they want to do the online. But people like that mess it up for them. They like, I'm really trying to make this thing work. Because I know I have several friends that I know who actually met online, and they have very good marriages. You know what I'm saying? And they wasn't playing around. Actually, I met my husband on Facebook. I never told the whole story to anybody. Really, nobody really asked, but I actually met him on Facebook. But I'm a little more wiser too with mine, because I'm like, We gonna FaceTime. We gonna meet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't gonna drag out no 6 months and then realize you ain't even a real person. I wouldn't even play them kind of games. You know what I'm saying? But our first day talking, we both, I mean, the connection, the spiritual connection. And we weren't even necessarily talking about church, but at the time it was a Sunday morning. I never forget, we weren't both getting ready to go to church, but we were just being ourselves, and you know what I'm saying? We were just laughing and talking, but it was something in that moment that we both knew, but I didn't, you know, I'm saying, because unfortunately, you do have people that hide behind it, and so I was very intentional about us talking, about us FaceTiming. And then so happened both our, because our birthdays are 7 days apart, both our birthdays was coming up, and so we actually met on his birthday, you know, face to face, because I wasn't gonna play around with that. But again, it's sad that we got to be so paranoid. But that goes back again to the enemy perverting the very thing that, you know, God will use to be a blessing. Because some people have met, because again, some people, you do meet people across country. Again, people travel for work. Sometimes they don't have time to get out the hotel, so they on social media, you know, or they may have such a status, they don't want to just be all out there, so they try to wing new people, because some people just want to be with them for what they have. But then, like you said, you have them con artists, and so they mess it up for people. So, but as people of God, I can't speak for everybody else. We have to be so in tune with Holy Spirit. We cannot let that flesh rise up and be deceived. We got to have discernment. I'm talking about on fleek. I don't know people say on fleek. We got to, because the Lord, he don't just talk when we in the church house and when we prophesying and when we praying. You know what I'm saying? But the Bible says resist the enemy, he'll flee. And unfortunately, a lot of times we ain't resisting the enemy because it feels good. Like, let's just keep it real.
Okay.
And you know,